My mother-in-law is way too involved in my wedding planning, so we took away her power. Hi, I'm new to Reddit, and I got my post taken down, so someone suggested I come here for advice. I, 26 female, have been with my fiance, 27 male, who we'll call Mark, for 6 years. Those 6 years have been great. We've had fights and issues, but never something big that gave me a red flag. He's a great man to me, and he's always treated me so well. By the way, this comes from Mary's World, and if you want to submit your own stories, then go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. Now here comes the issue. Mark has left the wedding planning to me since he knows that I love this type of stuff, and I've always had a vision for what my wedding is going to look like. My soon-to-be mother-in-law has very loud opinions on a lot of things that I want for my wedding. When we went to the store to try on dresses, it was me, my sister, my mother, and my mother-in-law. I knew I wanted a fitted off-the-shoulder wedding dress, and there were so many gorgeous ones that were my exact type. When I tried them on, everyone loved them, except my mother-in-law.
And that's when you say mother-in-law, it's my freaking dress, and it's my freaking wedding. I don't want to hear it.
My way or the freaking highway.
And you can take the 405. Buster.
She was very loud about her opinion and even went as far as to say that I looked like a spicy dancer. Her comment started a big fight between my family and her. My sister especially was pissed, and I admit said some pretty nasty things to my mother-in-law.
Good.
This resulted in her crying to my fiance. That day, me and my fiance fought, and he said that my family was in the wrong for upsetting his mother over a silly comment. I eventually gave in and got a dress that made everyone happy, which was a ball gown type dress. I come from a family of florists, so my family was covering for all of that. My mom owns her own flower shop, and she's the most popular in our town. Look at you go.
Look at you.
I love flowers. I always had since I was a child. This is something I'm not willing to give up. For my wedding, I always wanted a wildflower theme. I chose an outdoor venue and had a plan to decorate the place with my choice of flowers. I don't know why, but mother-in-law was so against the ideas of the flowers I chose. When she saw the bouquet and the flowers I chose, she yelled at me that this was tacky, that the people she invited to my wedding were going to think that her son is marrying someone cheap. Whoa, what the heck? Oh my gosh.
Well, maybe they'll think that she's marrying into a family where the mother-in-law is terrible.
She told me that red roses would look so much better and romantic.
Red roses are like the most common.
Yeah, they would have the least amount of personality.
Yeah, if you're basic, no offense to anyone who likes roses.
I refused, and she went to Mark about it. Mark and I ended up getting into a fight because this was something I absolutely refused to give up. He told me that it was just a small thing I had to give up and that after this was all over, we'd be happy with our new life. Even after the argument, I was adamant about my decision and wasn't backing down, which resulted in him leaving the house and going to his mother's. What a freaking mama's boy.
Little mama's boy. Mama, you can have your boy because I don't want him.
This has been going on for 3 days and he still hasn't texted me or called me back. And there are some comments. Comment number 1 says, not the a-hole. You don't have a mother-in-law problem, though. You have a fiance problem.
Exactly.
Think of this conflict as a warning. This is what your married life will be like. Any conflict, even one where your mother-in-law calls you a spicy dancer, will end with your future husband taking her side, not yours. He will always be on her side. Now imagine if you make a home together. It will be decorated like she wants. And if you have children together, I think you already know. You've spent 6 years together, and he now feels comfortable to show what he's really like. Run away before you get stuck. Another person responds, what if mother-in-law doesn't like the names you pick for your kids? Hubby will take her side and let her pick. What if you want a dog, but mother-in-law hates them? The hubby will veto the dog. And what if mother-in-law wants a key to your house and you think that it's a bad idea? She's getting a key. What if mother-in-law abuses the key privilege to snoop and rearrange your furniture? Hubs will say that you're overreacting. What if mother-in-law wants to be in the delivery room and you say heck no? Guess who gets to stare at your vajayjay? Definitely setting up for the rest of your life. Comment number 2 says, info, why are you involving her in these decisions at all? She isn't your mother. She's the groom's mother. Make your own life easier and don't invite her wedding dress shopping.
Yeah, literally.
Don't consult her on flowers. Tell her you found a dress after it's purchased and you aren't showing anyone pictures. There you go. If she wants to be traditional about things, she can do a rehearsal dinner or luncheon and be in charge of that and leave the wedding to the bride. And someone else responds, on the contrary, I think it's great that OP included her fiance's mother. It gave her the opportunity to see so many red flags.
True.
I just hope that she doesn't ignore them. Arguing with OP and expecting her to change fundamental aspects of her wedding to appease his mommy? Give me an effing break.
Like your mother-in-law, but your fiance? I would not want to marry a man who is not on my side.
Yeah, like defend me when your mom calls me a spicy dancer for a dress I love.
I'd be like, how dare you?
And personally, I would just be like, all right, then a spicy dancer I shall be. But we do have an update. I want to start off by thanking everyone for being so nice and supportive. I've read all of your comments. Thank you all for the advice. Some of you are going to be a bit disappointed, but me and my fiance are not breaking it off. While a lot of you suggested that, I truly love this man with all my heart. My mom and sister has also pushed me to leave him as they said some nasty things I would rather not repeat. Oh, wow. We did postpone the wedding since we did not put the deposit for the venue and my mom is the one providing the decorations, etc. We were still in the early stages of planning the wedding, so we didn't lose much money.
That is excellent. Do not have a wedding until all of your problems are solved.
After I posted on Reddit, I took time to read all of your comments and sent a text to my husband along the lines of how immature he's acting and that if he keeps this silent treatment up, I'll be calling off the wedding.
Okay, girl, I don't know if we should have sent a text. Probably should have had that in person or calling.
I think that's the difficulty here is that he's like at the mom's house, which I forgot about, and he's just not responding. This is actually a big issue, I think.
So he's a child.
That seemed to get his attention quick since he replied back within an hour and came home that day. There you go. Get your man. I had a long discussion with Mark. I told him that I didn't have any issues with his mother and that I also appreciated her insight, but this wedding felt more like hers than mine. I also brought up the fact at how his mom insulted my mom by calling our choice of flowers tacky and cheap right in front of her. Me and my mom chose the flowers together. The mom owns the flowers. Like, that's definitely insulting. I also brought up the spicy dancer comment and that it hurt me and how easily he brushed that off. He ended up apologizing after all this and agreed to go to couples counseling with me. He also told me that he'd have a talk with his mother for her to step away from the wedding preparations and to let me choose what I want. After our talk, we both understood each other's perspective better. He felt pressured to say yes to her because his mother was all he had. He mentioned to me before how growing up she had to work 2 jobs to be able to support them both. I do feel for her, but it's still my wedding at the end of the day, and I explained that to him. He has been apologizing repeatedly these past days. He even bought me flowers and took me on a date. Question: were those flowers red roses? Or were they wildflowers? How well do you know your partner?
Did he buy those for $4 at Trader Joe's? Because if he's not going to the freaking farmer's market and spending $25 on them...
I do have some good news. While unfortunately I can't return my wedding dress, Mark has agreed to pay for however I choose to alter my dress. He didn't know that the dress I got wasn't really the one I had my heart set on, so when I mentioned this, he immediately offered to buy a new one, but I agreed instead to just altering it. To answer some of your questions, why is my future mother-in-law so involved? She has never had a wedding of her own, as her and Mark's father never got married. Before all of this, she was very friendly to me and always welcomed me, so I was just as equally shocked when this new persona came out of nowhere. I wanted to involve her since Mark is her only child, so they're very close. Mark also asked me himself to involve his mother, so she didn't feel left out. By the way, you will never need to feel left out because we've got more episodes with stories just like this one. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and just search OK Storytime. We literally have so much. You can always feel included in our little community. But there is a little bit more. Do we have any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
I still don't really trust your fiance, honestly. I'm suspicious of him, and I think he needs a lot of therapy before you're ready to freaking marry each other.
Yeah, I am relieved because for a second, I was scared that this is how all of their conversations went. And then I was like, okay, then something's up and she's not aware of how this is. But I am glad that at least he was apologizing and not trying to like turn it so that she needs to apologize. He's not turning himself into a victim, which is great. Still not gonna like say, oh, he's like an amazing person because of that. But like, I'm glad that at least from this, it seems like she's not being like manipulated, which makes me trust him a little bit more.
I don't think he's necessarily like diabolical. I just think he has a lot to work on before they even can think about like starting this wedding up again.
It seems like this is a kind of new discovery about his relationship with his mom and maybe needs some time to settle. But there is a little bit more. So another question I saw frequently was who is paying for the wedding? Mark is paying for the venue and my dress while my parents are covering the rest. While we try to patch up our relationship, Mark has agreed to go low contact with his mother, which I'm not sure how she'll react to. Hopefully everything goes well in the future and we get back to normal. Thank you all again for the advice and the lovely comments. But that's the end of that story. I'm glad that Mark has come around and has realized there's definitely progress. Glad they're going to couples counseling. It sounds like this is a great thing to talk about in couples counseling.